きませんか？僕の人生は何もない。ニャンナと一緒にいた時のこと、もうほとんど忘れちゃったや。
届かなくていい手紙なんてねえからな。
本当はこの子も不幸になるはずなんだ。でも僕が幸せにする。思いがどうか届きますように。
Kibita House, Scottish Weirdo here. Remember me? I'm the Scottish Weirdo who opened the previous collector's edition of the Violet Evergarden series, and now I have the collector's edition for their first official movie, Eternity in the Autumn Memories Doll, rated PG. Slightly angled sign for some reason, but hey ho, I got the collector's edition, which features an 80-page art booklet, a special 28-page booklet, which is a short story written by the author herself, Kana Akatsuki, God bless her soul, 5 artistic postcards, as well as a poster, A3 sized, as well as some trailers in the actual DVD itself. So looking at this actual package, Violet kind of glimmers as you move it about, and there's different pictures in the background, all of which are related to the events in the story itself, including that dance scene that everybody keeps talking about. Thank you, Kyoto Animation, for this masterpiece. I mean, in terms of Violet Evergarden, this is probably one of the lesser stories, but it's still sweet and innocent enough, and it's mainly harmless in the long run. I think the only harm it does is people looking into it too much, but enough of me rambling. Let's open this wonderful baby up and see what contents have inside. After all, you don't judge a book by its cover now. Alright, so opening this up, this has some lovely signature imagery in the background. Expect nothing less from Violet Evergarden. So here we have the DVD case, as well as all the extra goodies that come with it. Here is the DVD case. Once again, there's this beautiful sketchbook aesthetic for the DVD case. I love it. It's such a primitive beauty to these things. It's very organic. It makes for very expressive designs for the DVDs. What do you guys think of these? Do you like these? Let me know in the comments down below. So opening it up, there's even more designs inside, I've noticed. And then you have, of course, the disc itself to actually enjoy the film with. And behind this disc there is another image. As for the contents for the collector's edition, we have here the A3 poster for this movie, which features 2 of the main characters just sitting together and being best buddies, roommates. And here you have several artistic postcards. We actually saw them in the DVD cover itself, but here you can get a clearer picture of what they look like. Nothing much to say here. They're just gorgeous to look at. And here are the 2 main girls of the story themselves. Wonderful. And now for some premium stuff to buy stuff with, which we're gonna ignore. And here is the art book, and here's the original short story that came with the collector's edition. So let's delve into the art book, because I love these kind of conceptual art books that delve deep into behind the scenes and even go deeper into the lore. That's one of my favorite aspects of the previous collector's edition. The fact that the art book not only showed us behind the scenes, but also expanded much of the lore. It didn't really have to do that, but it did anyway. It's like an appendix and a conceptual art book sold in one book. I mean, purchasing this collector's edition is probably worth it for that alone. So here we even get some interviews with the voice actors themselves this time.
You're Violet Evergarden?
I wasn't even close.
You should try typing up Violet Evergarden on YouTube, mate. See this actress? She's the same voice actress as Mikasa from Attack on Titan. You might want to listen to her. Which makes for some really fascinating commentary. Then, of course, we have the 2 main stars of this story. We have Isabella York, aka Emmy Bartlett, and her voice actress giving an interview. We have the voice actress of Taylor Bartlett.
Is that Benedict's little brother? Or is it his love child?
Give me a break.
My name's Taylor Bartlett. What? You're a girl?
Girl! And her own interview on her thoughts on portraying the character. Taylor is so adorable. What a rubber little cheeks! Okay, look at that smile. Look at that. I just want to rubber chubby little cheek. How can you say no to that? How can you say no to that? I think this whole collection's worth it. Just see that in high definition. Then we get the voice actor of Benedict Blue. It's nice to see some more development from him in this movie.
You never even looked at a map, not once. That's amazing.
Well, yeah. Any decent mailman has his entire route memorized.
Yeah, out of all the characters who had development in the show, Benedict had the least development. But Claudia Hodgins and the other workers at the Auto Memory Stall do get a mention in this movie, as well as their own respective voice actors' interviews. Also, there's this girl that exists. Yeah, she exists. Also, Luculia, nice shout out to the original show.
Well then, good luck with your job, Taylor.
We even get an interview with the legendary music composer Evan Cole himself! The blessed, legendary composer himself who made the heavenly score for the entirety of Violet Evergarden. He is an amazing composer. Every single song he writes is amazing. Go listen to the soundtrack of Violet Evergarden in general. It's worth your time, worth listening to for studies. There's also this person here who's worth listening to. And then, of course, the moment you've all been waiting for, the dance dress outfits. Right, let's get to the part you all came here to see.
They're all looking at you, you know. Is it because I've done something wrong? No, silly. It just means you look
Fabulous! Here we have some more casual outfits from all the sisters in this movie. And then, of course, we have one of my favorite parts of this art book. The backdrops. Now, if you don't know me, I'm the kind of artist who loves to paint landscapes. And so you can imagine this is right up my alley with the amount of detail, the colors, the vibrancy, and especially how it comes in crisp definition with the Blu-ray. And of course, another personal favorite of mine, the expanded lore. This expanded lore seems to go into the backdrop of the academy that Amy Bartlett's going into, as well as the current conditions and rising technology of Leiden in general. Even the Eiffel Tower radio tower. And then you have the storyboards. Anyone who's interested in visual storytelling or filmmaking in general should definitely take time to read these storyboards, just to understand the mindset of what went into each and every key frame of this particular movie. The lines of dialogue, what the filmmakers want to address to their audience. You look at any creation, you just think, this has an intent, this has a design behind it, it's trying to convey something. Especially this frame here. Looking deeper into these storyboard details, you'll find that there are some details in which the filmmakers were referring back to the original series, having some subtle callbacks apparently, as well as acknowledging the charm of Violet Evergarden's character, even if she was raised in such a harsh military condition. As you're watching this film, please be on the lookout for the symbolism of two flying birds. Think about the freedom they represent. I'm probably giving away the majority of this movie already just by showing these storyboards, but it's nothing too spoiler heavy. It's its own original story, and it's quite sweet and original. Speaking of sweet and original, we get this storybook about Amy Bartlett. It's something of a diary entry created by the author herself, Kana Akatsuki. This story documents the perspective of Amy Bartlett, who would be later known as Isabella York, and shows her own personal and emotional struggles to her situations, even to the point of ranting against God at times, which gives further insight into her reliance of revenge in the movie itself.
How exactly do you think you're going to support a child? I mean, you're still a kid yourself.
It's about revenge. I was forced to live like this too.
Thankfully, by the end of the booklet, she does thank God that she was able to reunite with her sister, as well as her time with Violet. To be honest, I might be mildly misinterpreting what I just said there, but that's more or less the impression I got from reading this character insight. Whatever the case, the author certainly knows her characters inside out, and this little booklet is no exception. Well done, Kana. Now, as for the movie itself, in terms of Violet Evergarden stories, this is probably one of the more forgettable ones. That's not to say it's bad by any means. It's just not as impactful as some of the other adventures and stories that Violet Evergarden herself has gone into during the series. Although, I will credit the film for this. We do get to see how much Violet Evergarden has come ever since the beginning of the show. At the beginning of the show, she started off with no emotional intelligence at all. Now, here she is as some realistic way of looking at things. In this case, Violet Evergarden is helping these two adopted sisters get back together after Violet Evergarden series as a whole has always been about emotional stakes. This is why I think a lot of critiques directed towards this show claiming that it's boring are kind of immature and funny. Yeah, I understand that this is a slow-paced slice-of-life drama. And yet, as I'm watching the presentations of the anime, I notice that the nuance is always in the subtlety of the expressions, in the visual cues, and the way the story is portrayed. Even at its most oblivious, there's this beautiful subtlety to everything, which doesn't force the viewer to feel a specific emotion, but rather allows them to experience the story and then experience the emotions therein. Sometimes some details can be lost on even some of the fans of the show, since Violet Evergarden herself has had to learn various kinds of love throughout the show and even in this movie. And I've noticed this movie focuses on learning about a sisterly love. Academically speaking, this kind of bond could fall under the category of the Greek word philia, which means a friendship bond, a type of love between friends as close as siblings. And I don't know if you've noticed, but by the end of this movie, Taylor Bartlett herself becomes an Evergarden when Tiffany Evergarden adopts her. Tiffany being the old woman who adopted Violet Evergarden in the first episode of the show, hence why Violet is called Violet Evergarden. So technically speaking, Taylor and Violet are sisters just as much as Amy and Taylor are sisters, which makes Violet, Amy, and Taylor 3 sisters when you think about it. And this may be me looking too deeply into it, but there's even a scene where Taylor says she had a nun read a letter from her sister to her. And nuns are often described as sisters, so maybe there's some more nuance with sisterhood here. In fact, you know what? This film might be deeper than I thought. I might have to make an entire video about sisterhood here. This film does have its flaws. I think its pacing could have been better overall. But at the same time, I really appreciate even deeper delves into some characters like Benedict Blue. Hardly got that much character development in the show, yet the filmmakers gave Benedict a generous amount of time to get some proper development here. He has a very simple yet heartwarming arc where he finds his job as a mailman boring, yet through the innocence and optimism of Taylor Bartlett, he begins to love his job again. I stated in the past that I had high expectations for the graphics when I saw the show because this was a movie. How much more beautiful could it get? On the one hand, it doesn't really change anything from the show itself, but on the other hand, this is still gorgeous to look at. As a matter of fact, with this being a collector's edition, I think the definitive way to watch the Violet Evergarden series is on Blu-ray, because it just looks so crisp and clean. I suppose if there was a major complaint, it's that Violet Evergarden doesn't really grow much in this movie, but on the other hand, she's already gone through her character arc in the show, which is probably why I recommend previous engagement with the show itself before watching this movie. I don't know, maybe this movie is actually better than I thought it would be, but as it stands, I'd probably give this film a 9.2 out of 12. I think that's a fair score. What do you think about the collector's edition of Eternity and the Auto Memories doll? Are you tempted to buy it off Amazon yourself? Let me know in the comments down below. Perhaps we'll even have another conversation about the means of purchasing it. In the meantime, everybody, Scotch Meyer signing out.